Well, on an afternoon where we are expected to get some thunderstorms in the area, Goon is bringing the thunder to the show today through his connections. We will be talking with none other than Penn State head football coach Matt Campbell coming up in just a bit. So look forward to that.
Yep.
Goon, I excited to. I have not had the chance to meet him yet. I know you've had several opportunities here to talk with him, and much like everybody else I have talked to, if nothing else, the guy makes a very good first, second, and third impression with the individuals that he meets with, which is not insignificant when you are the face of, really to a large degree, the university, whether you like it or not. You're a head football coach at a university like Penn State, and it is a big deal.
Yeah, I definitely having, I guess my man crush started about 32 seconds into his press conference when he was talking about his youth growing up, and he was talking about watching the Penn State games in 1994 and talking about my team. And what got me, though, is how he said how proud my grandparents were to be Penn State fans and Joe Paterno fans and that type of thing. And that really hit me in the feel-goods because that's what I want. And when he went on in that press conference, he started talking about, when people get done playing Penn State, I want them to realize that they played Penn State because they played a tough team, a hard-nosed team. They played the game right and all that stuff. And he was saying everything I love, about the game, about the sport, all that stuff. So then I've met him a couple times since, and I'm telling you, I know a lot of people who are in the high school world of coaching. I know a lot of people who coach with him up here in the building and work with him. Not a bad word yet. Not a bad word.
That's the truth.
Nothing but wow. Like my high school friends who were coaches said him and his staff have been absolutely fantastic on the recruiting trail. Had been a few while since some of the coaches had been down to some schools, all of that stuff. But they were all in support and they were all looking forward to see what the man can do on Saturdays. And that's the bottom line is, we can love them all we want, but you still got to do what you got to do Saturdays. And I'm looking forward to that because, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but the word I heard was we have a football coach. I think that's what the best thing I heard is he just wants to be he's a football coach.
Yes. And now there's other things that come with that. I understand what that means, and I'm with you. I think that's wonderful. And he very well knows that, with that, yes, you are the football coach. But again, you are the face of the university, whether you like it or not. And there's a lot of other responsibilities that come with that. Now, obviously, you have a staff that can help manage that and navigate that. But looking forward to the conversation. I'm kind of keeping my eyes out here to the right. So just programming note, as soon as he arrives, we're going to we'll take a commercial break fairly early in the program and get as much time as we can with the coach, and then obviously we'll open things up on the other side and get into a wide-ranging discussion, undoubtedly, as we always do. Pretty interesting Open Championship over the weekend. Very interesting World Cup. The third place game was about as wild as you're going to get. We may talk a bit about that a little bit just because I do think it's kind of like bowl games with the mindset and all of that. But we'll talk about all of that and much more. We are going to take a break here. When we come back, Matt Campbell, Penn State head football coach, joins us here at Quaker Steak and Lube.
You look a bit nervous, eh?
Terry, what's it like to stand in the FIFA World Cup stadium?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Just tell me. Come on.
It's not something that you can put into words.
Such a tease.
You can't rush it. You will find out when it's your time.
Thanks for the wisdom, Coach. So, how much longer?
Now go and make history, my man. Here's the World Cup you've been waiting for.
Actually, the World Cup's been waiting for me.
That's the spirit. Just remember, who drove you here.
Inspiring every step of the next legend. The official matchball carrier, proudly sponsored by Kia. Inspiration connects us all.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, once again, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox, State College.
And we are back on this soon to be
very wet
Tuesday afternoon. It is the Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak Lube, and as promised, we are joined by Penn State head football coach Matt Campbell. Matt, great to meet you. First time I've had the opportunity. I know Goon's had plenty of opportunities to talk with you, but welcome, first of all, to Happy Valley, and thanks for doing the show here this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you guys having me.
Matt, initial impressions, we'll certainly get into football here and let Goon talk about the things he likes about getting the toughness as a hyped up element of the program. But just your initial impressions of the area, and where are you at in the process of moving here? Do you have a house with your family? Give us an update on that situation, if you would.
We've got 4 children. So we've got an 18-year-old daughter, 16-year-old daughter, and 12 and 10-year-old boys. And so, I think this time around, and I think as you get to know me, my family's really important to me. They were able to get here really within a month and a half of the transition. Okay. And so they got settled in the school, which was awesome. My oldest daughter ran track and graduated from State College this past summer. My 16-year-old is playing basketball and in track, and got to get in with her sports team, which I thought was really big for her. And then the boys are kind of doing everything right now. So I think the biggest thing was getting them here and really getting them situated in the community, which we felt like that was really important for us. And my wife and I are from about 2.5, 3 hours away from here. So I think a global piece is you feel like you're a lot closer to home and feel a deep sense connection to this area. And it's been really great for us to feel like we're back home.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the hometown feel, man. That's what it's all about. I mean, every alumni dream is to move back to State College. I mean, you'll hear somebody tell you that, but it's true.
Yeah.
I moved back here 21 years ago.
Some of us never left.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, yeah, I mean, Jeff mentioned your press conference when you were talking about football, and that's when you won me. You won me the first 5 minutes of your press conference. You were talking about the pride and the puffiness of your grandparents' chest of how a Penn State football team and how proud they were of it, and the players and the staff and everything that goes about it, playing a tough Penn State team. That was our hallmark.
Yeah.
We prided ourselves on that. And then my wife will tell you, I sat there. I almost had tears in my eyes. I was like, this guy gets it already. He's been speaking for a minute. So it was awesome. And, I'm glad you're fitting in well, I hope. Your background is fantastic and all that stuff. And, then our future is – I'm looking forward to the season very, very much.
Well, I appreciate it. And Goon, I feel like you have such a great knowledge, not only coming and playing here at Penn State, but playing in a great high school football program, coming from a big family and knowing where, competition and excellence, had to resonate in that family. And then coming here and having the career that you had. I think to me, it is one of the great joys. I sprint to the facility still every single day with a sense of gratitude that you walk into the walls and you see the names of these letter winners that are etched in the stone in the foundation of that program, and you know what you represent, and you know what the heartbeat of this football program has stood for, and working really hard to bring that fabric of integrity, character, excellence, and class as we continue to build ourselves forward.
With that building process, talk a little bit about just how things continue to go in terms of getting the now former Iowa State players and the guys that were here, along with the incoming new guys, meshed into one team. What are some of the challenges with that? And, what are some of the things that you've liked to this point about what you're seeing in that process?
Well, I'd say the starting point was certainly keeping a great foundation of our Penn State football players here. I think, and Goon can tell you, in today's world, when at the 3 to 4 week mark of the season that your head coach is gone, there are people starting to pick at every one of your players. And the amount of young men that chose to stay home with us and to stay here and continue to lead forward at Penn State, they have been a great foundation. And, I think the world of college football is changing, and how you put a team together every year is changing. And so, I don't know if we're so holistically different than a lot of other places. Probably one benefit is that a bulk load of the young men that came with us are guys that we at least knew the character and the integrity of what they stood for. And we had a deep relationship and knew we were at least bringing the right character of a human being into our football program. And so, that was the starting point in January, is putting the right 105-man roster together. And then I think the second portion of that is how do you build a team, and how do you build team in today's environment and culture? Because the reality, our game hasn't changed. The sport of football, the 60 minutes that are played on that field, that hasn't changed. But how do you build a team that's ready to handle the adversities, the challenges, the mental toughness that it takes to be great in those moments on those fields? That's what's changed. And to me, I don't think you can sprint through it. I don't think you just clap your hands and say it's done or feel like you achieved anything until, man, you're constantly teaching and building for those moments that are going to come our way, and they're going to come. And the tough adversity is going to hit. Man, the 4th and 1, and you got to get the first down. Man, your back's against the wall on the goal line, and we got to play great goal line defense. Man, we had a bad half. We had a bad quarter. And how are we going to respond? All that's coming. And to me, that's when you believe in something bigger than yourself. And that's really been our work, is understanding the pride of what it means to put that uniform on here at Penn State, the pride it means to walk into that stadium and the opportunity and play in front of this fan base, understanding our former players, the history here, those that have come before us, because it all matters. And those things have to matter if it's going to be bigger than Matt Campbell, any one of our individual players. Man, this is about the team and the history of Penn State football, and it's our responsibility to uphold the traditions of the past.
I got about 4 million questions for you, but I know we only got 40 minutes. So, let's just go right back to the player personnel. Like right off the gate, like how the 31 guys that you bought, is that the number? Am I correct on that? That came from Iowa State?
24.
Okay, 24. Yep. So there's 24 guys. How do they mesh in here? How were our guys and their guys? Was there, there has to be some kind of competition, I guess, going on in winter conditioning between the guys and stuff like that. But have they all meshed in well and mixed in with our guys pretty well?
I feel like it's been a really good mesh, Goon. And I think
I've noticed that in my 3
interactions
with all the players and your staff. I really feel that.
Yeah, and I think the reality is it started in January. We're fortunate that there's 24 seniors that we have on our football team. That's a huge win, in my opinion, having some. I don't care what your pathway has been to be a senior in college football today. Man, you've had to go through hard. You've had to sacrifice a lot. You've had to work through it, and to have 24. And uniquely, we've got 11 Iowa State seniors, and then we've got 11 Penn State seniors, and then we've got 2 young men that are from UCLA that are seniors that transferred in. And so, the starting point to even, to think you're going to change everything at once, as I said, is wrong. And I'm a firm believer that change happens in small groups. And so we divided up our roster. I put a Penn State player and an Iowa State player, and they had to draft the team. We had 8 teams, and we drafted the team up with those guys leading the way. And literally, from how you cleaned your locker every day to how you showed up at class every day, to the amount of community service you did, to winning and competing in the winter workouts or in the weight room, man, you gained points or lost points, and the winners got rewarded, at the end of the week, and the losers had to come in and clean the facility, and help out our janitorial staff and make sure that there's a success, is rewarded, and failure is man, that's not going to be tolerated. And so I think the reality of it for us is those were great teaching moments on leadership and coming together and, man, building small groups, getting to know guys intimately. I still think connection, man, the willingness to be connected is a difference maker in our sport. And it's how do you find those opportunities to create connection. That's really how we chose to start that. And we really carried that all the way through the spring. I thought there was a great momentum shift started when our former players really came back in droves through spring practice. At our former places that I've coached, University of Toledo was Bowling Green. At Iowa State, it was Iowa. You had these huge rival games, and I would take the weekends of spring practice, and we would watch a quarter on Friday of the last year's game against our rival, and then have a small period in practice on Saturday to prep ourselves. And when I stepped in, and I think, Goon, you've heard me say this, I stepped into our facility the first day. There was the word unrivaled, and it didn't make sense to me because to me, one of the greatest things that I've witnessed from afar, even in the current landscape, is Penn State's getting everybody's best shot. It means something to play Penn State. Yep. And Penn State's almost getting everybody's rivaled shot, no matter where it is or what it is when they step on the field. And so instantly it came to my mind of, man, the greatest gift that I can give this football team back is understanding what that they have to uphold and what the tradition has to uphold. And so I think we really started to see a major shift when so many of our former players came back. And on Friday night, they got to hear their story a little bit. And on Saturday, it was great. Steve Jones picked a couple guys and got to kind of moderate, man, why'd you come to Penn State? What did it mean to play here? And you get to hear the Todd Blackledge speech, and you get to hear, man, the story of Dave Robinson breaking the color barrier and all-star games in college football and what he meant here. And he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer and a College Football Hall of Famer. And man, you get to hear Stefan Wisniewski talk a little bit, and the lineage of his family, and kind of like Goon, man, there's a lineage. It means something to play here, and I think when our kids start to feel that and see that, it was really incredible, and the support that they've gotten from our former players was tremendous, and it meant a lot to us. So I thought you saw a great shift there, and we uniquely actually ended the spring semester the day before finals ended, and we took the team to the producer of Saving the Roar came up at the State Theater in town, and we got to watch it as a team, and I thought that was like the crescendo of, this is what it means to stand when it gets really hard. This is what the history of this place has done, and I think that was really huge for us. And I think there was a different football team that came back to Penn State after their 3-week break from the spring, coming in the summer, and I think we felt that as a coaching staff, and we felt that as a strength and conditioning staff, because this team feels a lot closer to this right now than maybe where we were before the spring started.
They're ready to go, aren't they?
We're ready.
They're caged, man. I mean, it's like one of those things that's like you got 30 days or 20 days. August 3rd?
August 4th. August 4th.
Yep. August 4th.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we're 46 days away from our first game, so the countdown is on. I can't wait, but I don't think that enough has been talked about with those 24 kids coming across. They literally came halfway across the freaking country.
Yeah.
Packed up everything they had. They weren't like East Coast kids that were going to Iowa State. They were West Coast, and Midwest guys and Southern guys who went to Iowa State. There's 24 of them packed their bags, and that's much faith they have in you and in your staff to follow you guys across and to come play football here. And it's outstanding. It's a a pat on your back is what you deserve for that. That is what it is. And, I can't wait for this season to start to see how these guys play together. I want to see you out there doing what you do. I mean, you've won enough big games in your career at Iowa State, and I'm looking forward to that, going out there and winning games and, winning titles and playing for titles. So, God bless, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, like you said, Goon, it's coming fast. Yeah. I think the thing that you're really grateful for every young man that said, hey, we want to come and we either want to continue or we want to be a part of what's going on here. And, we don't take that for granted. I think one of the greatest gifts that we all have is we get to coach 18 to 22-year-old young men at the most critical time in their lives. And to watch these guys make the growth that they've made, it's been awesome. And yeah, it's a process, right? And as much as you want to sprint in, man, we know our first opportunity to showcase our football team is going to be against a Marshall football team that's going to come in here, and they've got great history and they got great tradition. And college football is a funny game. It's changing rapidly in terms of, man, the mental fortitude to be ready for the 12 guaranteed opportunities you have. And you got to take every one with a great opportunity. You got to take every day of fall camp with an opportunity to get better. And there's a process it takes if you want to be great in the moments. And I'm excited to see this football team. They've at least done this. They've earned the right to get to fall camp. And now they got to do a great job of earning the right to play great in those moments as they continue their process and continue our process to be great.
It will be fun. That's like the two programs that are most associated with the We Are.
Yeah, well, three of them. I just thought USC does it too.
Yeah,
we're all on the schedule in 1 year.
Yeah, but
I literally just thought that too. I
was curious, Matt. Like, is there such a thing as a typical day for you in the off season here? And if so, can you walk me through? Because again, obviously, you're trying to get this team ready, make sure the camaraderie and everything is there. But I'm guessing you're trying to, at least talk with some of the other coaches on campus, get to know the area a little bit. I'm just curious what your typical day, if there is such a thing in the off season, is like.
Yeah, the off season, especially these summer months, our world is it demands your best daily, and even as we try to have a breath or a chance to get away, those are challenging times. But June really for us in the college football world is a heavy recruiting time. You're trying to put a staple on our 27 class. Had a lot of 28s and 29 recruiting class that came to camp and were on campus with us, which was awesome. And then July is the one time, there's about a 2 to 3 week break at the last week of June, the first week of July, and kind of leading into the finish of this week, where our coaching staff's got a chance to kind of catch themselves before the run. And I think me personally, it was really important for me to get away with my family for a little bit.
Yeah.
You felt like it was 6 months of everything you had every single day, and a lot came at us, and that was a lot of change, which we hadn't had as a family in 10 years. And to be able to step away, that was big. But I will say, I think something you put on is, man, the fortune of being on a campus with so many great coaches. And, I had the opportunity to go. Obviously, Cale and I have met multiple times, and, our background and history of him being at Iowa State and us always looking up to what he has stood for, both as a student athlete and certainly as a coach there, and then what he was doing here at Penn State. Jeff Tambroni has done an unbelievable job, and, man, been a great source of, just of knowledge, what he's done with his alumni base, Goon, and what they've done over there. I think has been a staple for us of just trying to pick, man, some great wisdom, and, what our women's soccer has done, what our volleyball has done. I mean, we're fortunate here. And I think that's the one thing that you get the opportunity to go pick the brains of so many great coaches and be at a place where I think there's so many coaches that have such a vision for excellence and a standard of excellence, and to continue to get around and pick their brains. That's important to me. I'm really grateful to be able to be in an athletic department with so many amazing coaches.
Let's get into the season now. I know we're talking about recruiting, and that's it's bizarre to me. I mean, we can have a 2-hour conversation just on the recruiting, and Ironhead and I. This is just a quick blurb here, but like, how tough is it to recruit offensive line at the high school level? It's unbelievably tough. And now you add in the fact that you got a guy who's not going to play for at least a year,
right?
But you got to pay him.
Yeah.
And I asked you on Saturday, we were talking, like, how do you deal with the NIL stuff? And you had a great point, and that's like, you just can't let you can't let it run you.
Yep.
Because it would just absolutely destroy you if you just constantly thought about that.
Yep.
So I know I just knocked off like 8 questions there with the offensive line recruiting and the the transfer portal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is how are you doing with the recruiting versus the portal?
Yep.
What is your feeling on that? Would you rather get a portal guy? Would you rather have a guy that you recruit who's a sophomore year in high school all the way through as one of your guys type of thing? Or is it, do you enjoy the transfer portal where you go out and get known guys?
Well, I think that question is ever evolving, right? As how you put together within the confines of the rules, and you're living in a world obviously right now that there are no rules. Right? But the reality of it is, so you have to have the ability of how do you put the best team together, and I think that's. I used to be the guy probably 7 years ago that said, man, we're never going to go to the transfer portal, to, being in a situation this current year where, man, you got hired 3 days after signing day, and that was your only mode of building a football team. And I think the reality of it is, how do you clearly define at every position on our football team what you are looking for? A left tackle and a right tackle have to be able to do these things. A field safety's got to do this. A nickel's got to do this. A 3 technique's got to do this. Clearly define what that is, number one. Number two, I think you got to clearly define what fits our football program. You're going to hear me talk a lot about this, and I'm not wavering from this. Great character young men that have a great passion for the game of football, which is harder to find today. It's hard to find guys that love football. Do you love it enough when it's not going well? Do you love it enough when you get injured and you lose your spot and you got to fight back? Do you love it enough when you're ticked off that you haven't got enough playing time? Do you love football enough to take the constructive criticism and get yourself better? Do you love it then? Well, how many guys are going to raise their hand in today's world in that? And then I'd say the last piece of it is we're going to find young men that still understand the value of an education. Our guys are going to go to class. They're going to sit in the first 2 rows of class. We're going to hold our guys accountable to that. I want a smart football team. I want a football team that how they do anything is how they do everything. And so collectively for me, then it's how do you build that roster year in and year out. In the perfect world, Goon, and I do know this, we sit in our 6 to 8 hour radius of our doorstep sits some of the greatest football in the entire world, the greatest high school coaches, the greatest high school football programs. And the fact of the matter of it is it all starts with us at the foundation of high school recruiting and building our football team the right way. And, you know, we're still playing catch up a little bit in that in their 27 class of not having that sophomore, junior, senior year of relationship.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've made really great headway and we're really excited about what that looks like. And I think we're really excited about what we've been able to do as we start the 28 recruiting class. But I'll supplement that with, it also goes back to one of my greatest philosophies that I believe you have to be, and it doesn't matter if it's the NFL, great college football programs, or great high school programs, you have to be great developers. We have to hire coaches that are great developers of the fundamentals and the skills that it takes to play the sport of football. We've got to be great in the weight room. We got to be great in nutrition. We have to be a difference makers in those areas so we can get the most out of our guys and we can prepare our guys to reach their full potential on the football field and off the field. So I would, it's a long-winded answer. A lot of high school football recruiting, it's going to start there. Are we going to use the portal? We will at times. And when we have to, and how do you supplement and build the best team that you possibly can be? If there's a gap, man, that you feel like it needs to get filled with a guy that's had more playing experience, and that's the best thing for the team to bring in for the competition of that group, we'll do it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, we want to be great developers of the young men in our program. We want to retain our players. We want to get our players to be able to get to be great juniors and seniors, be great leaders, and have the ability to finish their career in our football program. That is really important to me.
That passion component on a recruiting front, how are you determining if somebody has that? Because I'm guessing if you're asking them, oh, yeah, coach, I'm really passionate. Because one of the things that has been fascinating, just getting to know Cale and just seeing the way he and his coaching staff go about it, is that it is a lot on the interactions that those guys have with their teammates, with fans, with coaches, with referees, like stuff that I don't know that kids necessarily think that coaches are watching, but they are. But I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you're determining, other than obviously you're talking to the kids, but how are you determining that?
I think it's a huge point, and I think it's one of the things that we've prided ourselves on. You know, we're coming from a place for the last 7 years. We've been the #1 retention rate in all of college football. And, you know, where we're going to sign a young man out of high school and that young man is the right kind of guy that fits our culture and stays in our culture and finishes.
Something to say about that, man. That's something. There's something to say.
Yeah. And
that's huge.
I really feel like we have earned the right to do that because of the time and effort to figure out what is the character of this human. Man, don't show me the highlight film. Like, I want to see your worst plays. I want to see when it gets really tough on that videotape. How do you respond? I love going to games. I think most of our players during my time in recruiting, they're multi-sport athletes. They're guys that are playing basketball, they're playing baseball, they're wrestling, man, they're in track. And I want to watch them compete. I want to watch them play. How do they carry themselves? How do they carry themselves when things are tough? How do they carry themselves when their team is down? Man, are they the guy that's, you know, the complainer or the bitcher on the sideline? Or are they the one that's, man, they're getting their team ready and they're going to go make the play in the moment to kind of swing the tide? And I think there's a lot to be unsaid in our profession. We get lost in rankings, we get lost in highlight films, and we don't put the time and the effort to figure out what's the character and what's the integrity and what is the passion of that player. Is he the first guy in the weight room when you go to school? Man, is he the last guy to leave? How's that guy treat his parents? What's the relationship with his families? Man, what's the principal say? What's the lunch lady have to say about who that guy really is in their community? And I think when you represent a community like this, when you represent, a football program that's so fortunate to be located in State College in an area where, man, being a part of the community means something, boy, you better do your homework, because I think there's going to be a certain kind of young man that's going to fit who we are and what our football program is going to stand for.
Yeah.
Great answer with the janitor and the cafeteria lady. That's who I go to.
Yep.
How do you treat them?
Yep.
And then how do they feel about, if you were to leave, if you were to go here or go somewhere else, how would they feel? Would they be upset? Would they be happy? It's crazy. It's a nice little. It's good to think about it. How you say that. That you believe that. I mean, that's literally what me and Jeff talk about a lot here is character guys. He talks about wrestling. These guys, what's the word? They're just happy to be there or for the chance. They're grateful for the opportunity.
Just for the opportunity that they have and being able to be part of the program. And it is. I mean, those of us that are Penn State alum, I guess, but we want it to be a big deal and meaningful to the kids in all of these sports that, hey, you get to go represent Penn State like that.
Well, I'll say this, Jeff, one of my favorite moments this year is, I got to go to the Ohio State wrestling match. And the amount of those matches that went down to the last 15 seconds.
It was crazy.
Right? And whether Penn State won the match or lost the match, you couldn't have you had no idea by the reaction of the student athlete, because they've trained to be great in the moment. It didn't faze them that the moment came, and whether they won the moment or lost the moment, they reacted the same. And it's uniquely funny because you watch when you get to the Big Ten tournament and you get to the national tournament, they're trained to be in the moment. Whether they lost or they won in the moment, they learned from it, they grew from it, and they trained themselves to be grateful for it. And we talked a lot about that in our football program, showing our team just kind of what it looks like. And that's knowing Kale and certainly knowing what they have done a great job is preparing for those moments in their training sessions and the sense of gratitude that they have. And it shows up in the critical moments. And I think those things are really important.
How important is getting the right staff and being able to trust that staff? And I don't mean just the coaching staff. I'm talking about the support staff around the program with all of the ongoing changes that are surrounding college athletics in general and football in particular, so that, ultimately I get everything kind of falls on you, but there's way too much, obviously, for one person to truly do the deep dive on all of this stuff. Talk a little bit about the support staff, and especially, again, as we continue to try to figure out what the future is bringing here in college athletics, having people that are ready to pivot in a moment's notice. All right, we're ready to do this if it goes this way, or ready to go that way if need be.
Well, I think trust, the word trust is the key word, right? And in college football especially, trust goes four ways in a football program. And I think this is why you see every year, this is my favorite time of year, right? Everybody's going to say who's good, who's not good, and nobody has any idea. And until the hard moments come, nobody has any idea, because you're going to find out who's got trust and commitment to each other, to the team in those moments, so they can weather the storms and grow through them. And, the value of trust in football goes player to player, which is big. We talked about that, putting a team together, and how do you build that trust within those players, player to coach, which I think those become big. Man, does the coach actually care, does the coach care about me as a human more than just a football player?
Yeah.
We lived in a transactional environment right now, right? Where everybody wants to win at all costs. And I've said this, man, I refuse. I refuse to buy into that model of this is what it's going to take to be successful. But man, building that relationship and trust. And then there's got to be the coach-to-coach relationship. And I think that's where you talk about, man, when you think about our coaching staff, yes, there's a football coaching staff, and then there's a strength coaching staff, there's a nutrition staff, there's an academic staff, there's an athletic training staff. And Goon knows this. You walk in that facility, you're touching every portion of all of those areas almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so I think making sure the same thing that we said, we're going to bring the right players in here, great character people. Number one, I always have this saying, players don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? They don't care how smart you think you are, but unless they know that you care about them, they're not listening to you. And so finding character humans that believe in relationship with the players is really important. I would say number 2, you want to find people that have a passion for what they do. And, again, that goes into that development piece, man. The nutritionist has got to love, figuring out the gain weight or the lose weight or the maintain weight of a student athlete, or the athletic trainer has got to have a great relationship, but it's got to be a lead at his craft to get that student athlete back on the playing field. And, so I think that passion piece, and then I think the lifelong learner piece is something that I think is really big. And I get it. I can get long-winded into some areas, but the one thing that I still think of greatness is there's a curiosity of greatness. The great people that I've been around, they're curious. They want to know how and why and continue to try to ask questions to help themselves grow to become the best. And I think that's no different in the coaching staff. You want a curious staff. You want staff that are continuing to push the envelope and grow forward, and whether it's the coaches or any of those support areas. And I do think that's one of the huge reasons we've been able to get off to a great start. I mean, what our academic team did, you flipped almost a whole point in academic success to a 3.34 team GPA, and one of the best GPAs in the history of Penn State football. And man, it's a credit to our kids, but it's a credit to the time, effort, and energy, of what our staff's done. Todd Kolka's on there, a former player, letterman there, that helps lead that group, but a really special group. And then, you talk about the nutrition and I think the physical gain that our team looks like. I think we look physical, and playing physical and looking physical are two different things, but you got to at least physically develop yourself to getting there. And I think that staff has done an incredible job. And, you talk about our strength and conditioning group, and, Reed Keggy's, Reed's been with me the last 3 years, and I would say was a huge piece of our football program, taking a turn to where we were really playing at the last couple of years, and was a difference maker for us. And Reed was a big piece of the early days at Iowa State as we turned the program. Yep. He left, went to Oregon for a couple of years, was the head strength coach at Boise State, and then came back to us. And he's been a difference maker for us, and his team do an incredible job. And, we're just really fortunate. Our Joe Resendez is our athletic trainer. Joe came in. He's a former NBA, was the head NBA trainer for the LA Kings and for the Kings and the Clippers, and then was the head of all the USFL, 2 years ago. And actually, Rocco Beck's dad had called me and said, "This guy's incredible. I know you're looking for a right guy in this environment to come in," and been an absolute game changer. And I think our kids would say, man, we're getting supported in yes, we're getting held accountable, but we're also getting supported in these areas. And we're really grateful for the people we have around us. And I'm grateful for them, the time, the effort, the energy that they have done, of no different than Goon said, move their families, been willing to create, a lot of change in their own life to come help serve. It's been really awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the several different aspects of what departments are in the building and all that, but the biggest one out there right now, I mean, how do you deal with the NIL?
Yeah.
I asked you Saturday, and it's crazy because that's the most bizarre thing in the world to me, because there's so much trust that can go into that, and so much trust that could actually, go against you.
Yeah.
Like, you got a player, just be honest with me. If you're looking to leave, tell me.
Yeah.
But are you that way? I mean, I'm not going to ask you, but I mean, are the coaches the same way with the players? Are they saying, "Hey, we're out there looking to replace you," type of thing? But how do you deal? Well, one is, I guess the biggest question would be, when is the money concern over? It's like, okay, the deals are done. I don't want to hear anything about it until next season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's like a recruiting timetable for the NIL type of thing,
Well, I think the biggest thing is, January, once that transfer portal window closes, and that is getting shrunk from 15 days this year to 10 days. But once that closes and really the school year starts, that is the one probably clean portion of college football.
Yeah.
And really what you see is these contracts are really going from January to January.
Okay.
And so that is kind of, the next fiscal year in college football will be the 27 season. And, you'll have to be prepared to, whatever the financial bucket is that you're dealing with, obviously retaining your own players, that's where it has to start. What's that look like? And again, Goon, you say, what are those conversations? I think you're crazy if you don't think you can try to navigate this environment and not have real relationship with your players right now. There's got to be constant communication with our football team of what's going on. And, the opportunity it's almost like in my mind, once the season starts after 3 games at the midway point and somewhere right before the last week or 2 of the season per se, just on like, where you at, man? How's it going? How's your role change? What's going on? Not a financial conversation, but a kind of a mental health check of like, where are they and what is going on? And that's really how philosophically we've tried to do it. And, there's been times where there are guys that have checked out. And at that point, it's time to go. Like, man, no harm, no foul. Like, this is about the team. If that's what your plan is, that's great. We're still going to serve you academically through the end of the semester. But we have to worry about the football team. And so I think our biggest thing is trying to make sure there's clear lines of communication and everything we do is in the benefit of the team. And so that's why even the financial piece starts with us retaining our own players first and foremost. And I do think that's kind of makes high school recruiting a little tricky right now. Just because, again, I think that there's still a part of our world, and college football is drastically different than college basketball and wrestling, because at 17 and 18 years old, in those areas who is ready to compete to be the best. In college football, it is the great unknown. And financially, I am still a monumental believer in earned right to financially get paid. Man, the money piece of it, we can have any conversation. It's not even a conversation today. It's room, board, books, tuition. It used to be cost of attendance. It's room, board, books, tuition, cost of attendance, and what are you paying me? That's just the world we live in. That is college football.
Hopefully
today.
It stays in that order.
Yeah. I don't know if it is in that order.
It doesn't stay in that order, I'm sure.
But that is really the reality where we live. And I think, again, our responsibility, Derek Hoosier's our general manager, myself, and then our coaching staff and our recruiting team, we're constantly in those conversations of how are we going to make sure we do what's best for Penn State football in the 27 year and then the 28 year and the 29 year. And sometimes that just looks different based on where your team is. And it is a little tricky probably for us where you're not in year 4, 5, or 6, you're in year 1. And man, there's still a big runway to see exactly what we have on this year's team and what some of these players look like and really where they've got the ability to grow too.
I told you Saturday I couldn't do it. I don't know how you can handle it. And I know we're not talking Penn State right now, but I mean, your Iowa State era, and then you know enough people in the coaching world. There has to be issues in the locker room about money. Because, I've been in the NFL locker rooms. Everybody's been in professional locker rooms where it's like, bro, you're getting all this money and you suck.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just like,
well, Goon, let me tell you.
It's impossible not to happen.
You're asking 18 to 22-year-olds to handle this, right? And
be adults about this. Okay.
Well, and the reality of it, it doesn't matter if it's the wrestling locker room or the football locker room or the basketball locker room. Every kid knows what everybody's getting paid. It's just that's how it is, and that's what's going on. That's a little bit of probably at times the immaturity of handling the money, but the reality of that is true. And so I think when you think about what is the financial number that you're going to pay a student athlete, I think you got to really think about the locker room, and I think you got to really think about, man, how does that impact our football team? And I do think those things are really important. And the great thing is, every year you get an opportunity to prove what your value has the ability to become for the team going into the next football season. And I still think that has to matter.
Along those lines, let me follow up with that, and I'm maritally obligated to ask the question. My wife runs a foundation that deals with mental health, the Jana Marie Foundation, and with that, I mean, mental health has probably always been a component that just wasn't talked about. It is certainly talked about more, but I'm also wondering if I think from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, now these players are getting money no matter what. But as Goon just said, well, now, if players know what you're getting and you're not meeting the expectations, the mental health can be very tricky. It can be tricky anyway, but I feel like with the pressures and everything that's mounting, and especially if you're getting on social media, God bless you these days. I just wondered how cognizant are you, and what does the program have set up to just try to manage, again, another component of the many components that you have to run?
I think that component is critical. And I think where we can't lose sight of where our world has gotten, you're right. We're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old young men who are still growing in their maturity and growing from young man to man in the most developmental sport in the world, which is college football. And
maybe the most prolific.
And most prolific, and most prolific in terms of it is the most bet on sport, right? I just watched Brock Purdy literally 3-4 years ago, who, I always say, man, he literally comes to Iowa State and rewrites every record and changes the trajectory of the football program. And it's his junior year, and he just throws his third interception against Baylor, and the entire stadium's 70,000 are booing him out of the stadium. And I kind of chuckled at him. I said, hey, man, I don't know if you can throw 4. You know what I mean? At least we'll have a shot.
You can't do
it.
You know
what I mean? But the reality of it is, what was spewed on his name in Twitter and Instagram. And, we had the same thing with Jalen Knowles, a third-round draft pick, and was up for Rookie of the Year with the Houston Texans. And the world we live in right now for 18 to 22-year-olds, that, man, people are gaining money or losing money on a play or a performance. And I think what these kids are under, when you talk about the mental health approach, is such a critical component. And do we have those pieces in place? And I think in a multitude of different ways. We do have a sports psychologist, mental health specialist on staff. We have what we've coined our Blueprint program, who is kind of led in a 3-pronged approach. We have Amber Giese, who actually came with us from Iowa State, that was in charge, assistant athletic director at Iowa State, that was in charge of our academic team. Amber, it leads the transition into Penn State, the transition out of Penn State, and the curriculum for every freshman, sophomore, and junior that comes from our football program in a yearly basis. Jordan Hill, obviously, we know one of our great alums, who's now also the director of our Letterman's Club. But Jordan really is a huge piece of that program, and does an unbelievable job mentoring our football team and creating a mentor program. And then, Jaron Elliott is a former player of mine. That Jaron was NFL Man of the Year, Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award recipient from the Green Bay Packers 2 years in a row, played for us at the University of Toledo out of Cleveland, Ohio, and he's on staff. And those 3 do a great job of, man, their only role is to love on our kids, to be around our guys, to mentor our football players, the transition to college in and out, and giving them a space to get away. And then I would be
just an ear.
I'd be remiss not to talk about, the faith component and how do you introduce faith into your program. And because I feel like young men find different ways of an outlet, and whether it's their family, their faith, their relationships, but how do we continue to support them through this journey? Listen, it's never going to go perfect. It's never going to go good. Every great player I've had, they're going to have really tough moments. Probably one of the great moments in our offseason was Rocco asked, Todd Blackledge about, man, to give us your moment in that 82 season, and, man, tell us about something that was, powerful. And he talks about, they beat Nebraska and they win that game. And, he throws 4 touchdowns. He's on the front cover of Sports Illustrated. And the next week they have a bye week, and everybody's telling them how great they are. And everybody's telling him how great he was. And he said, man, the following week we go down to Alabama and I throw 4 interceptions. And he said, you have no idea how lonely and how hard it was to get on that plane and look my teammates in the eyes and what the next week did. And he talked about what Kurt Warner did for him, during that time to pick him up and pick that team up. And, our sport at 18 to 22 years old, man, it demands, it's a little bit of microcosm of life, right? There's going to be really good days and there are going to be really tough moments, and we're going to be defined by how we grow and respond to those tough moments. And that's really what coaching is today. And it's how you build a culture and a program to help these young men grow through it to become their best.
That's amazing. So Ironhead's talking about, like, we were dealing with stars back in the day.
Yep.
I mean, I have seen and played with and coached 5-star kids who come in and don't produce.
Yep.
And the pressure that gets put on them was what Jeff just said about the mental health aspect of it. Of these kids, the pressure that they feel, one, starting with their teammates, because it's like, if you're not good enough. And again, I go back to the offensive line is the toughest position to recruit, because there's guys my size playing against high school kids that are offensive line like you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, no offense. I mean, but like bigger, stronger, faster. You don't know how I'm going to compete against somebody who is my size. And I might be a 5-star recruiter, and then you're going to give me $500,000 to sit on the bench 1 year. And then knowing the first week of football practice, I'm never going to play here.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And then how do they deal with it mentally?
And the impact that has on the locker room, too.
And then it's their teammates, it's their position coaches, their recruiting coaches, their families are getting on them. Why aren't you playing? Why aren't you playing? And these kids they've been these mutants for up so high for so long. And, that goes where the money is now. I mean, it's like, okay, I mean, there's that pressure in the locker room already it's built in it right now. So, the mental health game is an absolute huge part of this. Joe had a guy named Dave Euchelson, God rest his soul. He died a couple of years ago, but he was well ahead of the curve with that.
Yeah.
We had, go in there, and he was great. It was just the guy listen.
Yep.
And that's all it is.
That's it.
Just listen. I mean, he's going to sit there and say, how you doing, big guy? I'm like, well, got my ass kicked again today. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to play here. My mom's busting my chops, but, but that type of thing. So good that you guys have that for the kids, and it's being used.
Yeah.
I mean, people can sit there and say, oh, we have this, but if it's not being used,
that's right.
What's the point of it? So good stuff, brother. Good stuff.
How good do you feel about since we've been talking about the offensive line off and on, how good do you feel about the group that
they're big
put out on the field here this fall? That is for sure.
Yeah, they are big. And, I really love the demeanor of how that group has come together. I think we're fortunate that you have some experience. Obviously Anthony Donka leads the way with, so much experience. And Anthony, I think, has proven through playing through injuries here the last couple of years and playing. Man, he's proven his toughness and his grit. And I think he's really well respected in that locker room. And then I think you're fortunate that you've added some pieces of some guys that have had quality starts and have played a lot of football. And Trevor Burr comes over from Iowa State, is a really talented interior offensive lineman. I think Cooper Cousins has shown his not only love for Penn State, but what he has meant in terms of like his limited action. He's rotated a lot last year, starts the bowl game, has played on special teams, but man, I think
different offensive line at that bowl game.
Yep. But that Coop is, man, he's a guy that's driven to be great, and he's acted like it every single day that we've been in here. And I think the fun one is going to be, with that other tackle spot, like what's going to happen there. I think there's a lot of talent. I think there's a lot of guys that are proving their value. There's youth. It's a little bit unknown, but I think the talent of that room and the physicality of that room is really exciting.
Do you need someone to seize that position, or is it? Are you okay with? Hey, we got two really good guys. Let's we'll.
Oh, I think somebody's going to have to earn it. And I think that's going to be the fun thing probably across the board. There is still a newness right now, and I think Goon can tell you, like, probably the best team she's a part of, and probably mine, is you always felt a little threatened when you walk in to start a fall camp that, man, we're talented across the board, and you got to earn the right to win the starting job. And I think there's a lot of that going on in our locker room right now, and I think that's a good thing. And I think if done correctly, it can not only create great starters, but it can create great depth along all of the areas in our football program.
I have just two final questions for you. One, with this team and looking forward, and obviously expectations are always going to be high here. You talked a little bit about the camaraderie of the team. I guess how important is August in terms of continuing that piece of it and making sure everybody is on the same page here when the season does open up?
Oh, I think it's critical. And you're going to hear me. Everybody's going, man, what kind of team you got? I don't know. I know that we're going to have to earn the right every step of the way, right? We're going to have to earn the right. And I think what I've appreciated about our leadership and what I appreciated so far about the competitiveness of this team is they have went to work in the 8 weeks they were given in the winter, and we really ended our winter program with great momentum. I saw a football team that really did an unbelievable job in the start of spring ball and the finish of the academic semester, and they earned the right to get to the summer with great momentum. I see a football team, and we still got a week and a half left of our summer program, but a team that's on track to really have gained great momentum going into the fall camp. And there's no different in fall camp. Like, we're going to have to earn the right. And I'm a believer of fall camp's got to be physical. I'm a believer in fall camp has got to be a real challenge because I think you're starting to build your armor and putting that sweat equity in for the length of the football season that we want to play in. And we want to play for a long time this year, and having the opportunity to earn that in fall camp. And I think earn real confidence. Real confidence is earned by the ability to replicate and consistently replicate your job. And that's how we're going to try to do a great job of evaluating this football team, but we're going to have to go earn it in fall camp for sure.
We talk a lot about the importance of passion, as we talked about with football, but also controlling your emotions and not getting overcome with the players. Just wondering, have you thought about your emotions on that opening day, and is it going to be a challenge, do you think, just kind of staying within yourself and focus on the task at hand when you walk in and there's 107,000 or whatever it'll be, and you're going to be the head coach on the sideline of Penn State football?
You'd be foolish not to say there won't be emotions running through you. You're talking to a former D lineman. Sometimes I have to check myself and say that I'm the head coach, not the D lineman on the football field. So, but I feel like that's been part of my growth. And the reality of it is, I think that, man, that passion, it's what makes it so special to be here, right? I mean, you have a place where so many people are willing to come together and they believe and love something so passionately, and the opportunity to represent it the right way. If you don't have passion, if you don't have just a sense of gratitude, like you said, of being able to be in those kind of environments, then I think you can lose yourself. And so I think my biggest thing anytime I step out on the field is to have a sense of gratitude of where you're at and what you get to do and, who you get to do it with. And I think that's the other piece for me that I am really excited about, the young men that I get to coach for and be in part of a program with. I think we got a great coaching staff. I've seen a lot of people make great sacrifice to be here in these moments and have the opportunity to maximize their opportunity ahead.
Well, we are filled with gratitude that you've chosen to be here, and filled with gratitude for the time. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, brother. Thank you, brother. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Appreciate it.
I'll take a break here.
Enjoy the wings. So we'll take a break here and be back on the other side. Open phone, not open phone, but open topic discussion in the final hour.
You look a bit nervous, hey?
Thierry, what's it like to stand in the FIFA World Cup stadium?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Just tell me. Come on.
It's not something that you can put into words.
Such a tease.
You can't rush it. You will find out when it's your time.
Thanks for the wisdom, Coach. So, how much longer?
Now go and make history, my man. Here's the World Cup you've been waiting for.
Actually, the World Cup's been waiting for me.
That's the spirit. Just remember who drove you here.
Inspiring every step of the next legend. The official matchball carrier, proudly sponsored by Kia. Inspiration connects us all.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter. And I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox, State College.
And we are back here at Quaker Steak and Lube. Matt Campbell continuing to meet and talk with some of the folks that are on hand out here. And you want to share your line there with our our audience, because that was a good one.
Oh, I congratulated Coach Campbell on having the greatest personality of anybody I've ever met from Ohio, which I said the bar is pretty low, but it is what it is. But congrats. That's really, my wife is here complaining because her father is from Ohio. And I said, well, he talks to three, God rest his soul, but he literally talked to three people for the last 10 years of his life. So, no.
Really appreciate the time. Just great individual.
You leave
and
feeling pretty good, don't you?
Yeah, and we'll go through some of the comments here, but there's a couple of things that just stand out, and then I want to follow up on one of the things that was touched on. Actually, let me start there.
Sure.
And then I'll
I want to hear your opinion, what you feel about it. I mean,
before we
get to
that,
I listen to talk, I get all jacked up. I want to go beat somebody up.
No, I'm with you. One of the things with and there's just so much talk, and rightfully so. I'm not saying it's misplaced importance, but a lot of talk about the NIL stuff, and whether or not Penn State's keeping up, and whether or not all of that. Here is one thing, and I guess I didn't directly ask him about it, but I think reading between the lines, part of the importance, I think, of reconnecting, however you want to put it, with the letterman, with the current players, and getting the current players to understand is, and this is something that I think just needs to be emphasized in college athletics in general, and it's not always an easy thing to see or an easy selling point. But, and I'm just making up numbers, but let's say you get $500,000 as a signing bonus to go to Team X. I don't even want to get into, and then Team Y says, well, we only have $200,000 to give you for that first year. And again, completely making up the numbers.
Yep.
But if Team Y, the team that is offering substantially less money, has an alumni network that is through the roof and can virtually guarantee if you graduate the university, even if you're not a starter, even if you don't live up to the expectations, whatever they may be coming out of high school, the fact that you are a Penn State football player or really a Penn State athlete, it's going to mean something if you use the right connections. Hey, do you know anybody in this industry, that industry? Yep. Well, yeah, there's Penn Staters everywhere. And again, Penn State's not the only school. I'm not saying this is a Penn State exclusive, but I do think, all right, you meet with the alumni, and I have a friend whose son is playing at Harvard, and understandably, one of the pitches on the recruiting front is, you want to get into law? We could set up a meeting with one of the Supreme Court justices. Well, okay.
That's pretty good.
You want to get into broadcasting? We'll have you meet with the president of ABC, whatever it may be. So, but I do think, hey, you talk to the players that are here. Yep, man, we get it. You got a little less than or you're being offered a little less than other schools. Here's the thing. I was offered less too, but now I'm in year 3 and I'm making X amount, and I've already met with these people and those people that are going to set me up down the road, even if I don't make the NFL or whatever it may be. I do think there are selling points, and it's not going to work with everybody, but again, if you're going after the type of character individuals that Matt Campbell was talking about, that stuff is going to mean something. That you know what, I'm part of something, again, bigger than yourself, but also that is going to benefit yourself down the road and long term. But you have to be willing to see the long term, and it's the old I'll give you $100 now, or just a penny today, but I'll double that penny every day for the next month. Wow, my gosh, I'll take the. Well, yeah, you're turning down. And I do think there is a component of that to the recruiting process for schools, not just Penn State, but schools like Penn State. Yeah. And by the way, it's a lot of Big Ten schools that have that opportunity, which is why I do think the Big Ten is well positioned in this new era.
That's why we're succeeding in the Big Ten. And the last 3 titles have been Big Ten teams, and we have the alumni bases. We have the numbers when it comes to NIL. When it comes into the large amount of donors and stuff like that, and people to lean on. I mean, what's the story about the Alumni Association? Says that we have more CEOs that are Penn State alums than any other university. We have the largest dues-paying alumni association in the country. And then, you heard me talking to Coach, and I spent 3 or 4 hours with him the other day, and I never even talked to him that I had formerly coached. That I had coached at the Division III level, and there's a guy who played Division III level, coached at Division III level. He understands it. I mean, he played for the love of the freaking game. There is no doubt. I mean, Division III is, you're still doing running and lifting like you were a Division I guy, but you're playing at the Division III level. So that's the love of the game. So that's where he's coming from. But when I was coaching in Hampton, Sydney, we always used to recruit guys and say, this is a 30-year investment because, it's not cheap to go to school here, but it's a private school.
Yep.
And then, when you're first, 4th, 5th, 6th year out of school, you're part of the brotherhood. And that is that, the Alumni Association, there's guys out there who are actively and willingly there to help you. Let's connect with you with so-and-so. Let's get you out there. Let's get you guys straightened up. And I know that we have done a great job of that at Penn State for decades. And Coach bringing that attitude. And, we're not downplaying James and what he did. He did a very good job with that type of stuff of getting younger guys and older guys. So, I mean, Coach is, I think he gets it a lot more about what Penn State is, but it is. I would have liked to have asked him. We didn't have much time, but it seemed like we had enough time. But what were his feels of college football before and then the NIL, and what he said about there are no rules. I mean, that's the crazy thing to think about. But breath of fresh air, though, right?
Yeah, the thing that just comes through is there is an authenticity to him, and you feel that. You feel that from the moment he walked in here. He just is. You feel like he's being real with you. That there's not anything that he's trying to hide, anything that he's trying to be coy about, and I do think the thing that stands out the most to me about our interaction that we just had and everything we're hearing about him is, and I think it's at some level it is the reason for success in any sport is the relationship between the student athlete and the coaches and the staff, the staff at large. And that's why I really like hearing when coaches talk about the staff and all of the individuals involved. And, again, when you're talking about a program as big as Penn State's, I do think sometimes it is easy to forget just how many individuals are involved in trying to help the program be successful. Obviously, again, Matt Campbell's going to be held accountable. All of the feel-goods right now, they're going to go out the window if they get upset by Marshall on the opening day. And he understands that, and we know that. But I think who he is isn't going to change, and the way he approaches this isn't going to change. And I do think those relationships and understanding the importance of having a good strength training program, a good nutritional program, good mental health component, good academic advisors, and then obviously having a staff that you trust in terms of developing the athlete part of it, the coaches that are on the field, and hey, we're going to get you in the right position. We're going to make sure your footwork is right and all of the things that each position has. You get the feeling that his focus is solely on making this program better. And whatever it takes to make that program a little bit better each day is you just have that feeling. And again, he understands doing the interviews, and that's all part of it. But the focus and what he is completely focused on is, all right, what do we got to do to make the program and the kids that we have in it better day in and day out, year in and year out, and then, again, over the course of the seasons, continuing to grow. One of the things that stood out to me was his talking about the curiosity, which I would put knowledge. I think he was talking about being willing to learn, having the curiosity and not resting on laurels, whatever laurels you get. And that is, again, such an easy thing to say, right? Everybody talks about it, but I talk about Tiger Woods in the golf swing when he was at the top of his game. He's like, yeah, I wanted to rework my. Well, why would you need to do that? Like, why would you want to do that? Well, because I think it can be better, and I'm so being willing to constantly evolve and to not. Again, I use Kale obviously as my constant example, but I mean that is a guy from the day last college season ended to today. I guarantee you, he and that staff, the entire staff, are perusing any information they can glean out there about is there a better way to go about the conditioning element, the weight training element, is there anything we can do to better enhance the sleep that they're getting, making sure the bodies are getting the rest when they need? All of those things. It's not, well, what we're doing has worked for 13 of the last 15 years. We're good. We got this. Nope, it is. That was good.
Always looking to improve.
But now, what can we do to make sure we are evolving and staying ahead of the curve on all of the different elements that are out there? And that is not an easy thing to do, even when you're trying to do it. And, certainly impossible to do if you're not out there trying to stay on the cutting edge of that stuff.
What gets you the most fired up? It happened for me right off the gate again. He gets me off the gate.
Yeah.
The 5 or 6 hour window. He said we got to control that in recruiting. That is amazing. I love that attitude.
Yeah, and listen, I do think there is a baseline of talent that you need, right? Like, you can be the most passionate guy, love football, work hard, and if you're running a 5.0 as a wide receiver, you're not going to cut it here at Penn State. Like, it just, there's a reality there.
Damn it.
But so there is a there is a baseline of athleticism that obviously they need to find. But I do think that the heart and the passion can make up a ton of physical difference with somebody who is, again, easily more talented, but doesn't have that passion, is doing it because, hey, I run fast, and so this is what I do. That is just so much different than, I'm doing this because I love the game. It's just part of who I am and what I want to do, and I want to see how far I can push it. And there are athletes out there in all sports who are just they are blessed with God-given talent, but they don't have that inner drive to be great. And again, having the inner drive to be great doesn't guarantee that you'll be great, but not having it guarantees that you won't be, no matter how much talent you have.
Deep. Ironhead, that was deep, bro.
Nothing if not deep.
Very good. What did you like? What was he saying? I think he says all the right stuff. But my feeling is that he does mean it. That is important to me, as it is to you.
For sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing how he performs with these guys out there. Because I'm telling you, we had our football Letterman weekend. That's what I say. I was with him all weekend on Saturday. That's what I was doing. We were out of the golf hole on Saturday. He was out there, met every guy out there, shook his hand, gave him each a couple minutes, and talked to each guy, knew their stories and all that stuff. Just gets it, that is great. I'm looking forward to that. But how he handles himself with his team, that was one of my big things. And that's, there's 24 guys that came from Iowa State. That's a whole offensive defense. I mean, they had played for him. So our guys, I'm sure, were interested in the Iowa State guys to see how Campbell is, and then you haven't heard anything. I mean, 24 guys packed up their bags from the college that they decided to go play and left to come follow him and his staff.
Yep.
That to me says, okay, this guy is for real. What he says is true. They're going to do whatever they can for this man. And, he brought his seniors to the Letterman's dinner the other night. Everybody was more impressed the fact that he knew everybody's name, their hometown, what their major was, what they want to do in the future, a little blurb about each kid, and spoke to him about a couple minutes and stuff like that. I mean, we were laughing because I don't know if you ever know these stories, but the old man was brutal with senior day, senior class banquet.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness gracious. It'd be like, you don't want to go up there because he's just going to ridicule you. He's going to call out all your flaws is what he's going to do. He was out of shape and immature and a real butthead, but he cleaned up. He's good. We're good. Yeah, move on next. No, but he knew all the guys and stuff like that, and he genuinely was interested in our guys and how he wanted to know stories about the guys, about the teams, and all of that stuff. So I'm very excited. And I will say, I'm not lying to you. Our freaking guys are huge. It's amazing. They're all. I mean, Cooper Cousins put 25 pounds on since last year, and it's good weight.
Yeah,
there's a difference in bad weight and good weight.
Yeah, it's not the 20 pounds I put on.
This is bad weight. This is bad weight.
No doubt that there is, and that's the thing. So I love that he knows the identity that he wants his teams to have, and that that they're going to go get guys that fit that identity. And I do think that at least gives you a chance at having the type of success that everybody is dreaming of him having here at Penn State. That at least gives you a chance, is you knowing where it is you're wanting to go, and the type of individual that you want to help get you there. That to me is a big first step. And I think
we could have talked 3 more hours.
It is going to be interesting to see, because while I don't think we're going to have, I don't think we're ever going to see in college football again the type of longevity that not just Paterno had, but that his staff had, where you had the same basic core of coaches for 30 years plus. Like that is not a realistic expectation anywhere ever. Probably wasn't even then with what Paterno and Penn State did. But,
yeah, I mean, there was coaches who, Mickey Andrews and Bobby Bowden, were tied at the hip for 20, 30 years, but Joe had a whole staff like that.
Yeah. But I do wonder, and I'll be curious to see if there's not more stability within the staff. And again, don't take that as a shot at James Franklin. I think, again, in the overwhelming majority of cases, right, the coaches that were leaving were moving up the ladder, and that is the reality of big-time college athletics. Alabama, I mean, Nick Saban's championship teams were doing that every year. I mean, that is, so it's not that's, wow, yeah, you can't have turnover like that and keep winning. No, you can, and you do. But it does feel like there's, and we'll see, maybe I'll be proven wrong on this, and it just feels like there is more of a, hey, we're here for Coach Campbell, for Penn State, and for these kids, and we're committed to it long term. Is just the feeling I get. But I think the way he talks about the approach that he has and that he wants his players to have is what any parent would want for their son, and what I would think any player would want for themselves in a program. And I do think, again, Penn State's got to be competitive, and I'm not sure exactly what all to believe or not believe right now when it comes to the NIL stuff, but I do think if you're making it more about the relationships and more about, hey, there's going to be long-term payoff here, financial payoff, if you're just willing to take a little bit of a risk and trust that, we're going to take care of your best interest if you come here, that part is going to take care of itself.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is it's the kid has to be, I mean, I think about this and how we would have handled when we played and stuff like that. And that was the money. If you're offered money somewhere else, is it that much better than what you have here? We could have transferred in college. I mean, there was definitely downsides to transferring, but you weren't making any money. But, no one wanted to transfer. I didn't want to transfer because I loved my teammates. I know my teammates didn't want to transfer because they loved us. But is that there still? We can sit there and say Campbell has this and his staff has it, but do the kids nowadays have that? Are these kids mature enough to understand, like, hey, this is a long-term deal here. When you go to Penn State here, you're taking care of financially, job wise, and in the future, you're part of something that's a lot bigger than anything else you could ever be part of. Is that worth it, or is it the money right now? And that's what I mean. That just goes back to the kind of kids you're going to recruit. But again, like I said, we could have sat here for 5 hours and just talked. I mean, just the NIL would be 3 hours of that. How do you handle that? How do you go about getting the number? How do you introduce that to the player? How do you come to that number? I mean, who figures that out? The valuation and all that stuff. I mean, it's crazy. And then to think that other schools will overpay just to get some of your players to break your team up is even crazier. So I think we did a good job in just staying with the nuts and bolts of the meeting the new coach type of thing, not getting into the, well, how would you handle this type of thing? How do you handle, other teams going after poaching your players? What do you, that's the next interview. But
I think he addressed that though. By saying if you have the relationship that he's talking about with the players, and again, the record at Iowa State speaks for itself in that regard. Then I don't think you need to concern yourself as much about that, because again, that trust factor is, I think, a bigger deal than people make it out to be in this era where, all right, well, it's just about getting the highest pay. I think there are probably some cases where that is the case, where a kid or his family, and given circumstances, it's like, yeah, we're just going to go chase the biggest dollar. But I really do think that is the exception rather than the rule. Now, again, if one school is offering $50,000 and you really like the coach there, and that seems like a great relationship, and I'd love to go play for him and love the teammates and all that, and this school's offering $1.5 million, well, okay. As much as it pains me, maybe you go ahead and do that. But if it's comparable, if you're in the same neighborhood, again, to me, the relationships and the long-term opportunity for success, and again, it's part of this is going to be defined over the next few seasons. The win-loss record is going to be an important component here, and if Penn State isn't winning 10 games and isn't in the college football playoffs, those relationships are going to be harder to continue to forge. But if you're getting results on the field, if the kids are getting results after they leave Penn State, those that don't go to the NFL, in the so-called real world, right? That builds upon itself then, because again, you're going to bring recruits in, and they're going to hear the stories from the guys, the real stories of, you know what, I know that we're offering a little less than what you might be getting at other schools, but here's the reality of how coach takes care of you here. These are the opportunities that are going to be available, all of that, and it's going to matter. And if it's combined with on-field success, and again, record at Iowa State, very good, especially given the resources or lack thereof in Ames. But if he can have success, and I think I would define success as certainly at least 9 wins here in this opening season with the schedule that it is. But being in the college football playoffs at least one of the first 2 or 3 years here, then I think again it's just going to start to build upon itself. And I think he's walking into a good situation that I think has a chance to get a lot better very quickly, in large part due to the way he is approaching things.
Yeah, I love the way he's approaching things. And,
I
wanted
to
see, I guess it was hard for me to ask that question, and that is like, and I didn't want to broach it because it seems like one of those hypothetical things that this wasn't the time or place for it. But like, what's going to happen the first time? Like, and I don't know if this even happens. Like, say, like, a top safety in the country contacts Penn State, says, I'm interested in coming up there and play. And you have a pretty good safety, but this guy's much better. He is. How do you talk to your player and say, hey, we're talking to this guy, because if word gets out, I mean, you're going to lose that trust. It's just, it's just so. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, no, so here would be the way I would answer that, and I suspect it'd be pretty similar to what Matt Campbell would tell you, and that is, listen, my obligation. I'm speaking as Matt Campbell here. My obligation is to the program. Like I am trying to make the program the best it can be. Now you're part of the program, so I'm trying to make you the best it can be, but or the best you can be. But if there is somebody out there that can challenge you or beat you out, then that's going to make the program better. And listen, truthfully, having somebody here that you see is a little better is probably going to help you get a little better as well. So, yeah, don't be afraid of competition. But, yeah, we're going to constantly like that is, to me, the obligation of any coach at any program is you have an opportunity to make it better. Now, again, you want to do it without disrupting the culture, right? So if you have a guy that's an egomaniac, it's super talented, and expects things to be but if it's just this guy's better, but you've been here 3 years and you give me everything you have. To me, you sit down with the guy who's giving you everything you have and say, listen, this guy reached out to us. Again, my job is to make the program better. I want to see you rise to the occasion, see what you can do here, but we're bringing this guy in. I actually don't think it's that hard of a conversation. Now, I'm not having the conversation. I get it. But again, you're in competitive athletics. You ought to be expecting to have to compete, right? Like that. I mean, that is part of the what you're signing up for. And again, we've seen it. We've seen it with Penn State football over the years, but we've certainly seen it with Penn State wrestling, with Penn State. Name the sport. It's like, wow. And we've seen it certainly in big time college football. Witness the Clemson quarterbacking situation, Alabama quarterback situation. Yeah, it's like, listen, if we have a chance, bring somebody in and that person is looking like they give us even more opportunity to win, we're going to go with that person. Again, that's competitive athletics.
Walk into a locker room now and see how different it is. It's got to just be so unbelievably different.
I don't know. I wonder about that, Goon. I'm not sure it's as
clothes are different, jewelry's different.
Well, that part is.
I think the diamonds are real now.
Yeah, in terms of the interactions, though, and maybe it is.
They have to be more mature on a personal level. They have to be more mature than we were.
Well, or they're going to be in a world of trouble. Just because, if you're immature and that's getting out on social media, it's going to come back and bite you. And
correct.
We can argue about whether or not that's a
lot of tomfoolery,
good or a bad thing. But all right, we'll take a break here. Talk some other sports in the final 20 minutes or so after this.
You look a bit nervous, hey?
Thierry, what's it like to stand in the FIFA World Cup stadium?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Just tell me. Come on.
It's not something that you can put into words.
Such a tease.
You can't rush it. You will find out when it's your time.
Thanks for the wisdom, Coach. So, how much longer?
Now go and make history, my man. Here's the World Cup you've been waiting for.
Actually, the World Cup's been waiting for me.
That's the spirit. Just remember who drove you here.
Inspiring every step of the next legend. The official matchball carrier, proudly sponsored by Kia. Inspiration connects us all.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, once again, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox State College.
And we are back on a Tuesday afternoon, a final segment. Quick programming note, I will be out on Thursday.
What?
Heading down to Dewey Beach in Delaware. It's been I think it's been 8 or 9 years since I've been to Dewey, which is crazy to me. But going down there, I actually have Penn State Alumni Day on Saturday down at Dewey. I know there's a lot of this is a big Penn State alum weekend period all across the board. Again, our thanks to Matt Campbell, Penn State head football coach, for joining us earlier in today's program as the Nittany Lions gear up for season 1 under Matt Campbell. And
he's probably
really
so
fun,
ready to get
fun
going.
conversation.
You know?
Yeah, I think he's glad that he has the time he does, though, to try to get everything up and running here the way he wants or close to it when the season rolls around. But again, just a really fun conversation, good conversation. I think he is. I just think he's the right guy at this time for the program. And again, we'll see what the coming seasons bring. But certainly, you like the attitude, you like the authenticity. I think that he brings, and I think I think the fact that he had success at Iowa State is going to translate here, where again that gratitude piece, where you're grateful for what Penn State has rather than focused on what Penn State doesn't have. Which, you know, again, I'm not saying you don't keep working to try to get everything at the top tier, but I think you have a coach who knows how to just use the resources at hand and build the very best program you can with those resources. A couple of things. World Cup over the weekend. Spain was clearly the better team. Kind of felt like Argentina might sneak another one out, though, the way that game was playing out. I mean, Spain completely dominant, but as we've talked about, a good goalie and just, being an opportunistic team in hockey or soccer, it feels like especially you can sneak one out. And it felt like while Spain was clearly the better team and dominated play from the onset, it felt like a very real possibility that Argentina was just going to find a way to steal it at the end, but not the case. Spain
came close,
which was clearly the best team really throughout the World Cup.
One goal.
That is the best team. Yeah, one goal allowed in the entire tournament.
That's insane.
By Spain. And yeah.
I believe the one goal was a throwaway goal in one of the games that they had already advanced.
One goal was it was almost a goal a minute, it seemed like, in the third place game.
Yeah.
Which was very entertaining, I will say. At the end of the day, it didn't feel like it was going to be entertaining after the first half as England jumped out to the 4-0 lead at halftime. And then France decided, you know what, let's go ahead and play. I do think that was one of those things where, much like a bowl game sometimes where you have a team that is a top 5 team, but they lost at the end of the season, and now they're not playing for a title, and they're going to a bowl that they're not excited about, playing a clearly inferior team. Not that England was clearly inferior to France, but motivation is a big part of it. For whatever reason, England came out motivated. They wanted to come out and make a statement, and did in the first half, and then France obviously made some halftime adjustments, decided to come out with a lot of fire in the second half. Ultimately, England does prevail 6-4, but
fun
a
game.
Wildly entertaining third place
As
game.
the semifinals were.
Yep.
And then you get to the final.
Yeah. Which
it was like, it was so close to, you know what I mean, for people to be like, okay, because there's a lot of people who tuned into it. There's a lot of people who tuned into that.
It is so often the case, though, right? The championship events aren't as good as the events leading up to them, in part because you don't want to be the team or the individual that makes the mistake that costs your team the championship. And so, understandably, I think, generally speaking, in those championship games, you play a little more tentative or a little more cautious. And, I do think Spain, their ability to just control the ball was amazing.
Yeah.
Because it felt like from the onset that there was a man advantage for Spain, even before the red card. Like it just felt like they had Argentina just could not get any room to maneuver, and I don't know how you do that because again, until the red card, they were evenly matched, and then after the red card, it really did feel like there were 3 additional players out there for Spain to me, with their ability to control the ball and to just shut down any opportunity for Argentina to get anything going offensively.
Yeah, it was, again, like I said, there's a lot of people watching, and then to lay that dud, best thing I had is a meathead football player texted me, how long would it take an NFL team or a college football team to score 11 on 10? And I was like, damn it, good point. I can use that on the show.
Yeah.
But it was whatever. But, I mean, I did watch it. I mean, it felt like a very European day for Goon and Kerry on Sunday between the the Open.
The Open Championship.
The Open Championship. Yes. And then you follow that up with the FIFA.
Just another tournament where somebody comes back from 56th place to, or whatever it was.
It was pretty impressive, man, because at one point, I don't know. I usually get into it, but being away, working all day Saturday, being busy all day, so I got nothing. I really didn't watch anything on that Saturday. So Sunday I get in there, and I'm not really into the tournament, So it was just on in the TV room, and then I'm looking up there, and then I'm like, okay, well, this guy's going to run away with it. And then I was like, no, he's not. And then it was like, okay, well, they caught him. And now they have caught another guy. Oh, he's not going to win it. And then they got this guy who just keeps on hitting shot after shot.
Yeah.
I mean, he hit a 62 on Saturday? Was he one of the two guys?
It was
crazy.
I mean, it was a fun finish for sure. But it was a little weird to see the way it played out because, like I said, you never really felt like you had a real feel for how. Every time you thought you had a feel for how this was going to play out, it's like, well, no, that's not at all how it's playing out. So,
and it sure as hell didn't play out like that.
Yeah.
Oh, he took it, man. I got to say that he didn't. That wasn't given to him. He went and took that tournament.
Yeah,
I liked his call to his wife. I told you I was going to bring a trophy home. Well, I'm bringing it home. She said, bring a trophy home. So I'm bringing you a trophy home, honey.
Yep.
The Open champion.
Yeah. It was an amazing tournament. It really was. And congratulations to Ryan Fox. Everybody, I think, had him projected as the champion.
Oh, he was definitely the odds-on favorite for sure.
I had never heard of him.
Everybody
before. I don't follow golf all that closely, but I'm like, I don't know.
See, you just don't know your Kiwi golfers.
Like the last 3 or 4 years, we've had more
major winners.
First-time major winners that I'm not going to say came from nowhere. Obviously, if you're on the professional tour, you're somebody. But I mean, not the household names.
That guy's a made man the rest of his life.
The very average.
Every time they say his name, they're going to say the Open champion from 2026.
Yeah,
the rest of his life.
It was impressive. It really was. Again, a huge thank you to Matt Campbell for joining us on today's program. It was nice to meet him for me. Great to kind of hear his thoughts on how he's going about building this year's team and moving forward. And I do think I think he is going to be like James Franklin in the approach to the transfer portal, where it's not something that I think he's going to rely on. But again, if there's a given year where, hey, we have more holes than expected, I don't think you shy away from it. But I think you try to be smart about it and, again, pick the guys that are need areas and are going to be the right fit in the locker room. And I think, that's the feeling I get is that it's certainly going to be a piece of what Penn State does moving forward, as it should be, but not a piece that you're relying on with regularity across the board.
I wish we had interviewed him a lot longer, maybe even off the air, just had a couple beers with him and some chicken wangs. But like I said, I mean, when I look at college football recruiting, I would love to get his feel of, like, today wasn't the time to ask him. And that was, how much portal recruiting of the offensive line are you doing versus high school? Like, because like I said, you're going to take a guy like me, and you got to pay me. Because if I'm a high-ranked guy, but you're physically not ready to play, as an offensive lineman. Again, he said it today. You're 17. You're not physically ready to play on the offensive line at 17 years old. Oh, we're D-line. D-line a little bit easier than offensive line with regards to playing with youth. But, a guy's got to sit on the bench. You got to, he's going to get
that is going to be something
$500,000.
worth keeping an eye on, is the number of guys who, with the 5 and 5, right? Like, you're expecting that there'll be plenty of wide receivers and running backs and, maybe linebackers that are going to secondary players who are going to play 5 years. I don't suspect that there's going to be a ton of guys that are going to be 5-year starters at, I'll use the quote-unquote big-time programs. Now, to your point, I think what could happen is you get a guy that comes in and starts for a year or two at a MAC school or at
you should recruit a guy like that.
Yeah, and then
proves himself
3 years at Penn State or Ohio State or what have you. But I don't know. I'll be following that because I think it was made too much of in retrospect. But I always thought, and we always talked about, like in the 80s and 90s, the importance of the cohesion of the offensive line. And you had to have guys that knew what each other were doing, and that you can only develop over the course of time. And, a group has to basically play together for seasons. And like we've kind of turned that on its ear a little bit in that the cohesion is still important, but it's that it can be developed maybe much more quickly than what I was led to believe, or at least what I believe. Maybe I wasn't even led to believe, but it felt like coaches always said, yeah, man, you got to, and, even having a change in the offensive line could throw everything off because one guy might, just shuffle a half step differently, not even quicker or slower, just differently, and it throws the rhythm of everything else off. But then you start looking at some of the offensive lines that are very good that, somebody goes down and somebody else steps in, or they end up, midway through the season, they'll switch a guy, tackle over to the other side and move a new guy in. And it seems like a seamless transition.
On paper.
So, yes. And in results, again,
I'll give you an example of that. Is I played next to Jeff. We started next to each other for 2 years. Our second year, we were making dummy calls and we knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you bring a redshirt freshman in who doesn't know and he's, you can voice is sort of cracking, big, or he's calling out the blocking scheme and you're having a conversation out there before a snap. That ain't good.
No,
everything's different.
Yeah, well, all right, that's going to wrap.
It's going to be a fun season, brother.
Again, thank you to Coach Campbell, folks. We hope you have a great rest of your day and evening. Storms, I guess, are coming our way. Goon will be back with you on Thursday. I'll be back a week from today, and until Goon rejoins you on Thursday, be good and be safe.
You look a bit nervous, eh?
Thierry, what's it like to stand in the FIFA World Cup stadium?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Just tell me. Come on.
It's not something that you can put into words.
Such a tease.
You can't rush it. You will find out when it's your time.
Thanks for the wisdom, Coach. So, how much longer?
Now go and make history, my man. Here's the World Cup you've been waiting for.
Actually, the World Cup's been waiting for me.
That's the spirit. Just remember who drove you here.
Inspiring every step of the next legend. The official matchball carrier, proudly sponsored by Kia. Inspiration connects us all.
And all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Luskin Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, once again, The Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, The Fox State